Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is Libertarian Party presidential nominee Chase Oliver. Chase, thank you so much for joining me once again.
Hey, thank you for having me. I always look forward to speaking to you and the Forbes audience.
And I would love to get your perspective, because we love speaking with you as well, on recent comments by Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s running mate, Nicole Shanahan. She made news after suggesting her and Kennedy could potentially drop out of the race to support Trump. I'm going to read her full remarks here and then get your response. She said this: "There's two options that we're looking at. One is staying in, forming that new party, but we run the risk of a Kamala Harris and Walz presidency because we draw votes from Trump. We draw somehow more votes from Trump. Or we walk away right now and join forces with Donald Trump, and we walk away from that and we explain to our base why we're making this decision." And she also added, it's not an easy decision. What do you make of her statement there?
Well, I wanted to say that if you are a candidate who's running outside of the two-party system and you're worrying about being a so-called spoiler, you probably shouldn't have been running in the race to begin with, because you're going to be cast as a spoiler if you don't win the race for one side or the other. And so for me, as a libertarian, I'm part of a political party that has been formed, that is challenging the two-party system, and we're not going to walk away from this. I'm super excited to be in this race through November, and then working beyond November to help organize the Libertarian Party and help us grow. And so I was in this race to begin with, to take votes from Trump, Harris, and any other electorate that sees my campaign as worthwhile and worth putting your vote into. And I think dropping out of the race is just a signal that you were really never interested in running to begin with.
You have said this sentiment to me before, but I'm not a spoiler. The process is spoiled. Do you think, though, do you agree with her point that if they do drop out, Donald Trump will win?
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think the polls are going to be tight either way, and I don't know if enough of the Kennedy voter base would walk to Donald Trump. I think, in fact, we've seen poll numbers eroding for Kennedy as they've dumped Biden on the Democratic side in favor of Kamala Harris. And so it seems like some of his support that would have previously been going to him is now actually going back to the Democrats. And so we really don't know how it would fall. And I, of course, I wanted to say this right now. If Robert F. Kennedy gets out of the race and you're tired of the Democrats and Republicans, myself and Mike Termott, my running mate, the Libertarian Party welcomes you with open arms, and we're not going anywhere. We're going to be here to challenge the duopoly throughout this election cycle.
So just to be clear, you're saying you're not dropping out anytime soon, and you're seeing this campaign to November.
Absolutely. I look forward to running as the Libertarian candidate in states all over the country. In fact, we're the third party campaign that has the most ballot access of any of the campaigns, including Robert F. Kennedy. And so I urge those who see Kennedy waffling or wavering to take a second look at this campaign, join our fight, join our movement, and join the Libertarian Party.
She elaborated on those comments on Fox News and said that she meant, when she said join forces with Trump, to form a unity government. Is that something you'd be interested in?
No, I'm not interested in being the undersecretary of whatever department Trump would want to throw me into. And I really don't think it would really serve that well, because as a libertarian, there's not going to be a lot of aligned interest with the Donald Trump authoritarian White House. So either I would get so frustrated with the job I would quit, or they would see me trying to spread libertarian ideas, they would fire me very quickly. And so I don't see that as something that's very attractive to me. I'm not looking forward to serving in either administration. I'm looking forward to challenging the Kamala Harris narrative, challenging the Donald Trump narrative, and providing something that's refreshing and new for voters who are sick and tired of being sick and tired.
A few months ago, when you were asked a similar question, if you would vote for either Trump or Biden, you were asked, gun to your head, who would you choose? And you said the gun would go off. Now the race is a bit different. It's a Harris-Trump race. Is your answer the same?
Absolutely. Metaphorically, the gun would still go off. And by that, I mean I would join the largest pool of voters out there, which is the 40% of voters who don't vote in the presidential election. They don't feel represented. They don't feel like there's a choice out there for them. And if I was limited to those two choices, yeah, the gun would go off, meaning I wouldn't be going out to vote at all.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr., there are reports that he tried meeting with Vice President Kamala Harris. Reportedly, she was not interested in that. His campaign did say that, quote, Mr. Kennedy is willing to meet with leaders of both parties to discuss the possibility of a unity government. a unity government at all with, I know we talked about this earlier, but with a potential more libertarian perspective, that's not something you're interested in with either Harris or Trump?
Well, I would certainly welcome if either of them win the race to include libertarians in their cabinet and to try to be more libertarian, obviously. Please take our best ideas and take them from us and adopt them. That isn't victory in itself, and we libertarians would welcome that. We would welcome pushing the Overton window towards a more libertarian direction. Am I confident that that's going to happen? I'm not very confident that's going to be the case. I'm sure that's very flowery rhetoric from, of course, Kennedy and others. But when the rubber meets, I expect the Republicans will fill their cabinet with the Republicans. A Democrat would fill their cabinet with Democrats. And Kennedy would probably be a little bit more open to that stuff. And of course, if I were elected, I'd be open to having people across the spectrum. But of course, I would want libertarians, left libertarians, right libertarians, center libertarians to be pushing the Overton window in that direction. So yeah, I would love if they would do that, but I'm not confident they're going to.
In Shanahan's comments, she also accused the DNC of sabotaging her ticket. She said this, they kept us off stages, manipulated polls, used lawfare against us, sued us in every possible state. They've even planted insiders in our campaign to disrupt it. You've said before the process is spoiled, but do you think that the DNC specifically played a part here?
Oh, absolutely. I think the DNC, when Kennedy was running as a Democrat trying to run as a challenger to Joe Biden, just ask Dean Phillips how rigged the process was. He might not tell you these days because he's endorsed Joe Biden. Ask Marianne Williamson, ask any other Democrat who tried to run opposite Joe, and they'll tell you the process was very much rigged by the DNC. But at the same token, the Republicans do what they can to try to keep right-leaning independents, right-leaning libertarians off the ballot where they can. They're no stranger to challenging ballot access. And so for me, it's just two wings of the same bird. And it's just the sign of how broken the two-party system is that they can't even have other challengers in the ballot. They're so afraid of Americans hearing an alternative point of view that they'll do everything they can, including using lawfare, including using the courts to try to keep choices off the ballot. And, I'm running against Robert Kennedy, but I think he has as much right to be on the ballot as I do or anybody else. And I think one of the biggest things we need to see is a changing of how we vote and the way and who we can vote for. And once we change those things, we'll have a real transformation in America.
You mentioned issues with voting and the voting process. Obviously, between now and November, that's not a lot of time to fix those issues. But in the future, what are you looking for? What are some of your solutions here?
So we want to both change how people can get on the ballot as well as how people are able to vote. We're going to be rolling out a Voters' Bill of Rights that was created by fellow libertarian Lars Mapstead. And we're adopting that as part of our campaign platform, both during this election and post the election season. We're trying to push these reforms. Things like lowering the ballot access requirements so it's easier for ballots. We have more and more choices, so we don't have so many uncontested races for state legislature seats all over the country. We can actually create more diversity in who we're able to vote for. And then, of course, changing the way we vote, adopting things like ranked choice voting or approval voting. And so voters don't have to feel scared and to vote within that kind of spoiler mindset. They can fully vote confidently knowing that the choices they're making are going to be better representative of them and hopefully create in the end, more civil elections, because in a ranked choice environment, those Democrats and Republicans will be coming to libertarians like myself and others and saying, here's what's attractive about us. Here's why we want you as part of our coalition. And that's the real way to make unity government, not promising cabinet positions and things like this, but changing the way we vote so we have a truly more representative democracy.
Within the past month, this race has changed dramatically. A month ago today, President Joe Biden did drop out of the race. Vice President Kamala Harris quickly became the likely nominee. Now she is the nominee. In your perspective, someone who is running for president, how has the switch of the Democratic ticket changed your race?
Well, the messenger has changed, right? Now we have a candidate in the Democratic Party who's over 20 years younger than Joe Biden. But much of the message is still the same. It's still you looking to the government to solve our problems, looking to raise taxes, to create more government programs. And ultimately, that's going to infringe more and more upon the freedom and liberty of each individual. And so, and of course, we'll be adding to the debts and deficits that are just racking up every day. $8.9 billion a day right now is being added to the deficit. And if that's not addressed, we're going to see real calamity for the next one. So it doesn't matter whether it's Donald Trump or Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, if they're going to continue debt and deficit spending, they're going to create bad conditions in the future for our kids and grandkids. And we need to sound the alarm.
You have visited already all 50 states. It's a mad dash between now and November, but what's next for your campaign?
Well, we're right now heading to Ohio and then Minnesota next. We're going to be doing a tour through the state of Ohio, including attending Toledo Pride, and then we're going to be heading to the Minnesota State Fair, which is the largest state fair in the country. I kind of view it as heading to both J.D. Vance's and Tim Walz's home states, so I'm checking out the home states of my VP rivals. And of course, Mike Termott just got done being in both Iowa and Wisconsin. He'll be traveling across the country, including down to Florida in the next little bit to do some fundraising and meeting with voters and lots of cool stuff. So if you want to stay tuned, check out the website. We have an events tab, and you can always check out where we're going to be if we're in your neck of the woods. Love to see you out there.
Chase Oliver, per usual, thank you so much for the conversation. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day. Peace, love, and liberty to you and all those you know.